Come to attention, respect. Ready. Today we're going to talk about some of the very basic self-defense techniques. These are the foundations on which all of your self-defense techniques, as you move up into karate, they're all built on these basics. So it's very, very important to get them correct. And no matter whether you're a white belt or a black belt, you need to have a look from time to time and make sure you're still doing it correctly. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so first we're going to work on foot movements, and then we'll add the hand movements to it. This is called one step. Oh, and through the magic of camera, you're going to see a mirror image of me, so it'll be very easy for you to follow. When I move this hand on this side, you move that same hand on that same side, okay? All right, so I'm going to move the camera now to point to my feet, I think. All right, so with one step, it starts at attention. Remember, at attention, your heels are together and your feet are slightly apart. The toes are pointing slightly away at an angle. You're going to step out to ready position, and in ready position, your feet are pointing straight ahead. It's like you're on a railroad track, okay? Your hands are out from your body about 1 fist distance. They're not up against your body, and they're not way out in front, okay? So they're here. You're ready. Your knees are slightly bent. That's why it's called ready position. You're ready to move. So we're going to step back into a left front stance, and it's really critical that you step straight back with your right leg. So that leaves me in a good front stance. I can't see my toes when I look at them. My knee is in the way because my knee's bent. And if you don't step straight back, what people tend to do is step at an angle. That leaves me wobbly, which isn't good. And also I'm facing the wrong direction. I'm facing this way instead of facing where my opponent is, okay? So let's practice that a little bit. Starting at attention, going to step out to ready. We're going to step straight back. And then we're going to step back to attention again. So the count, just so you get the count right, is 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So now what we're going to do, we start at attention like we did before. Step to ready position for 1. Step straight back with your right leg. And upper block with your left arm. Remember, the upper block wants to be in front of your head, and your fist should be even with your ear. In other words, only block the part of your head that you don't want to get hit, which is pretty much all of it. Back to attention. 1, 2, 3. 1, ready. 2, upper block. And reverse punch. And 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Good. Okay, now we're going to do the same basic technique, but instead of a punch, we're going to add a knife hand strike, palm up. Okay? So you remember knife hand strike, palm up. You start at your same side ear, your arm goes out and comes around in front of your face. Now, there's always a tendency for people to do a real short one. We don't want to do that because that takes a lot of your power away. So we want to go out and around, and you're striking with this portion of your hand. Okay, so let's do a few of those. Again, I'm starting at attention. On 1, I step out to ready position. 2, I step straight back, upper block, and then knife hand strike, palm up. And when I do the knife hand strike, my other hand comes back to my hip, not to my stomach, not to kind of my side. It comes back to my hip and it's on my belt. And then on 3, I come back to attention. So let's do a few of those. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Good. So for the last basic self-defense technique, it involves a little difference because you're going to use 2 stances. You're going to use a front stance and you're going to pull that back into a cat stance. So I'll show you my feet first. We'll work that out and then we'll add the hands. Okay, so as before, you're going to start at attention. Step out to ready on a count of 1. And on a count of 2, you're going to step back into a front stance, just like you did before. Except in this case, after you do the block, you're going to pull your foot back into a cat stance. Now in a cat stance, I have 90% of my weight on my back leg and only 10% on my front leg. And I can easily pick my front leg off the floor, which is what we're going to do because we're going to kick. That's what the technique is that we're going to be doing, okay? So you'll kick and then put your foot back down. All right, so let's look at that foot sequence again just for a moment. Start at attention, count of 1, step out to ready, count of 2, step straight back, and then you'll pull back into a cat stance, kick, and then put your foot down in the front stance. Okay, so again, we'll just do the feet for now. We'll add the hands in a moment. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, ready position. 2, front stance, can't see your toes. Pull back into a cat stance, 90% of your weight here, kick. And then step back into a front stance, again, can't see your toes. And then back to attention. So the only hand technique is basically the same upper block we were doing before. So you start at attention, step out to ready, step back, upper block. Now as I pull back into a cat stance, I'm going to bring my arm down into a guard. I don't want to leave my arm like this because I'm very vulnerable. So I'll bring my arm into a guard, then do the front snap kick, then put my foot down in the front stance. And then on 1, come back to, on 3, come back to attention. So 1, 2, upper block, pull back, pull your arm into a guard, front snap kick, and 3, back to attention. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to work on the blue belt self-defense techniques. And just as before, these will be a mirror image. So it makes it easy for you to follow. Okay? So When I move this hand on this side, you move that hand on that side. So the first blue belt self-defense technique is done from a left front stance. So we'll do a left front stance and an upper block. Take the hand on your hip and do a knife hand strike, palm up. At the same time, your upper block comes down to your hip. Now you're going to punch with the hand on your hip. And come back to ready. So left front stance, upper block, knife hand strike, palm up, punch. So let's do a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 'So for the next blue belt self-defense technique, we're going to step into a cat stance and do a knife block. You notice we're still getting out of the way of the punch. You always get out of the way of the punch. From the knife block, we're going to take the hand on our hip and punch. Then we're going to use that same arm to do a horizontal elbow. Notice the elbow is horizontal. You're not elbowing up and you're not elbowing down. It's horizontal. And then come back to ready. So once again, cat stance, knife block, punch, horizontal elbow. All right, let's do a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to ready. So for the next blue belt self-defense technique, you're going to step into a back stance and middle block. You're going to do a 4-knuckle punch using the hand on your hip, and then a cross-step kick. So once again, middle block, back stance, 4-knuckle punch, cross-step kick. So let's do a few of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the cross-step kick, you are in class moving in front of the other person's knee because you don't want to hurt your partner. But in reality, what you're practicing is hitting the knee at an angle and crushing the knee down to the floor. But again, in class, you never get close to your opponent's knee. So for the last blue belt self-defense technique, you're going to step into a saddle leg stance and use an outside forearm block. So it looks like this. Then with a hand on your hip, you're going to turn your hip and throw a vertical back fist. At the same time, your blocking hand comes to your other hip. Then I'm going to pull back, turn my hip, and throw a side kick. So once again, outside forearm block, vertical back fist engaging my hip, pull back, and side kick. Let's do a few of those. One, two, three, four, five, so this completes the video on the gold belt and blue belt self-defense techniques. Attention, respect, ready.